find out. It's always a 50-50 shot. By the way,
Mm.
Shay is already in the chat. And,
Oh, Shay!
alright, we are going live.
Hey.
Alright, I can see myself moving. Aloha Manga Club, it is your boy Lohali signing in with an incredible episode of the Manga Club podcast. Before we get started, let me turn off this fan because I don't want it blowing everywhere. And we are joined by Mommaluvsmanga today, talking about minimalism in manga. How are you doing, Mom?
I am great. I'm tired, but good.
And that is awesome. And Jin, how are you doing today? I noticed that we're both wearing tank tops.
Right? We should have done this better. You could have worn a blue one. I could have worn the red one.
I'm sorry. I'm a failure.
You should have reminded me of the headband too. I could have worn the red headband.
I always wear my head wrap. Come
we
on
could have
now.
looked like the pills from the Matrix.
Couples clothing. That's what that is. But you
Right?
guys missed
We
out on that chance.
we are adorable, and
But
I
yeah,
am okay with that.
I'm super good.
So tonight's subject, like I mentioned earlier, is minimalism in manga. The idea that having less is actually having more. Now, I'm not going to call myself an expert because I've only watched one documentary twice, and maybe read a half an article. But Mom over here actually lives minimalism. So
Yes.
before we really dive into minimalism in manga, what does minimalism mean for you?
Right. So for me personally, minimalism is more of a mindset. I know you're going to get on the internet and you're going to see people say, like, minimalism is having this many things and not having this and blah, blah, blah. But for me, it's a mindset of knowing when enough is enough and making sure that you have just things that you really love and that you're okay with letting things go when it's time. Um, so for me, it's not really about numbers and how much I have. It's like a feeling, and I like to walk into my house and feel light and like not cluttered. And I like to be able to look at the things that I do have and feel joy. I know that sounds so cliche. Does it spark joy? But that's for real. Like that, it really does make a difference when you walk into your house and the things you look at sparks joy and you don't feel overwhelmed.
That is actually a perfect way kind of to go into this for me. Because for me, a manga collection is having a memory with each manga. It's not like, oh, I have this book. It's I have this book and it reminds me of this. It's like when you eat your favorite food and you're reminded and taken back to a place when you were a small child, when you were on your first date.
Mm,
Everything is important and everything is a memory. And I think that's kind of what minimalism tries to teach you is keep the
mhm.
important memories with you and keep the things that spark those memories around you so you can enjoy the most out of your life.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, everything that's on my shelves back here are series that I love. Some of them are like I have the first series that I ever purchased was Fruits Basket way back in 2006, and that was like the first series I ever completed, and I have so many memories tied to that. I'll never get rid of it. It's sitting lovingly on my shelves, and I can look at all of the series that I have, and there's meaning to it, whether it's all the works of my favorite mangaka like Clamp or Fumi Yoshinaga, or if it's like Ouran High School Host Club, which was like one of the first like rom-com series that I really ever read. So yeah, everything has meaning to me. And if something loses that joy or that spark, I am totally fine with getting rid of it because I don't want to keep that negative energy in my bedroom.
Just like I don't watch horror movies to bring negative energy into my life.
Right.
I've been in literally haunted buildings, and I'm like, and these horror movies are going to come back to bite me in the rear end, and so it's just not a thing for me. I also don't enjoy awkward moments in TV shows because I'm like, I've experienced that.
Mm.
No, no, no. So,
I don't want that energy.
Jin, what do you practice minimalism in your 4,796 book collection?
Tea.
Kind of. I kind of do it with wanting my shelves to look good, so I try and put what will kind of make the shelves look good together. Because I also have like pops and stuff too to kind of decorate the shelf, so I don't want them to look trashy. So sometimes I'll do that. But then I have my other ones that I really like that I'll go back and I'll actually take a shelf and I'll go through and I'll be like, okay, well, these ones are something that I've looked at forever. I'll take off everything on the shelf and then go back in and put new stuff on it, just kind of to filter it through. But then on the opposite side of the spectrum, I will keep like a pile of books on my table that I have here. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, that really gets under my skin. And so it actually like has that reaction where it's like, I have to get these done. I have to do it because I have to get to that point where it looks better again. So
Mm,
it's kind of a double standard thing, I guess.
mm. I mean, that can happen.
I mean, take a look at me. I claim to be a resourceful manga collector, not necessarily a minimalist. If I was absolutely a 100% minimalist, I would not have half the series that I do on my shelves. But I also do restrain myself every now and then. I'm
Yeah.
not quite like Jin. I don't have a billion, but how many do you have, Mom? How many series do you think that you own?
Um, that's a good question. I don't really count. I did kind of count just individual volumes. Well, I started to, and then I got tired because I was like, listen, ain't nobody got time for that. But I think I have somewhere between 300 to 500 volumes. It kind of fluctuates. But as far as like actual series, I don't really know. It's really not that much. Like the way I have my shelves set up, it makes it look like I have more than I actually do. Um, oh goodness. Yeah, I don't know. that's I should have maybe counted that before I jumped on here.
Okay. I'm trying to like see which series
Like
you have on your
50.
shelves. Is that Real About High School right there, the red series right next to Dead Man Wonderland?
Oh, this one?
That okay? No, it's not. Okay.
Oh, this one's Everyone's Getting Married, by Izumi Miyazono. This is a romance. I mean, you can probably just from looking, you can see that I have a very eclectic taste
I mean, you go
in.
from Death Note to a romance to Dead Man Wonderland. Not
Right.
gonna lie, your
Yeah.
shelf like organization is on point, and I love it.
Well, the funny thing, so the thing is about this Death Note volume, I have not read this series. I actually bought the first 3 volumes of this for my cousin who he I bought it for Christmas a couple years ago, but he recently passed away, and my aunt found this in his things and she gave it to me, and I was like, I'm keeping this forever. I love the anime, but I don't really have that much interest in reading the manga. I know, but this is like special, so this is gonna stay on my shelves. But yeah, it's very interesting how I honestly have it set up by height. so so this is just it's kind of random. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, I read a lot of different things. I read across genres. I'm not super picky when
And
it comes to genres.
that's okay. You don't need. Who needs to be picky when it comes to genres, other than myself,
Right.
who reads exclusively shonen battle manga?
Right.
I mean, Jin obviously only has like one kind of series on his shelves, namely all of them.
Is it etchy or
It's Monster Girls.
uh
What? I'm just going to tell you, I don't think there's enough of a certain style or genre of manga to
hmm.
actually go off of that and fill up my shelves. I'm just telling you.
Might be. I think.
After being in manga for like 14 years, I really don't
Mhm.
think there's enough printed of anything to actually be like, can I fill up
There's a
10
whole
shelves of
shelf.
this? Yeah,
Right.
one shelf. Then we'll move on to the next one.
Right.
I think you
I
can
need
do it.
another genre.
It'd have to be some like really like widespread genre to create minimalism. But like, I mean, you got to keep it all I'm a minimalist genre collector, obviously, guys. I figured it out.
That's a thing.
Totally, yeah. We're not making this up as we go along. That'd be weird. Why would you make up minimalism terms as you go along?
Who does that?
So,
Hey, you know it really means a lot to you when you can sit there and be like, Lohali, without looking, I need you to tell me where your Hunter x Hunter volumes are, and like give us the directions if we were going to look it up
shelf
without looking.
bookshelf number 1, shelf 5, left side.
That's impressive.
See, look.
I mean, there's no way that you guys can prove that I'm right, and there's no way that I can prove that I'm right either. So this is the amazing thing. Until my shelf tour, when I will actually go out of my way to look back at this video to be super extra to get it to the point where I'm correct. That way somebody's going to go deep cuts and go, oh my god, he told us the truth? No. But so I actually organize my shelves in a completely weird way. I organize by like favorite volumes, like One Piece is like at the very, very top. So one bookcase is all my favorites. Then the next bookcase, which is taller, has some series I'm like, I'm okay with them. And then after that, it goes my favorites all the way down to the very bottom. Then the other one is kind of like stuff that I enjoy, but it's also a combination of Sydney's shelf now. Like, she now has a full, like, she's getting more and more series. Like, this next manga haul is going to be almost more hers than mine.
Right. Good for her. Yeah, that's not going to ever happen. My husband will not. He's not. I've tried to get him into manga. He's just like, dude, it takes me like 5 minutes to read it. It's not worth it. He doesn't see the value in that. But so, I mean, actually, you can't see it, but back on the wall, I have some like shelves on the wall, and he has some comics back there. He does like comics, but he likes like Penny Arcade. And which I don't even know if people know who Penny Arcade is these days because they've been around for a long. Okay, so he likes Penny Arcade and like some Batman stuff. Like both he and our oldest son are really into all those like really dark Batman comics, and I'm like, y'all have fun with that. I don't care about Batman. So.
I mean, Batman, if he's written properly, is actually interesting, but the problem is most people just go, he's a super detective and he can solve anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I mean, I don't care. I think my son's favorite is like the Killing Dance or something.
The Killing
Game?
Joke.
Some
Killing
joke. Yeah, that's what it is. The Killing Joke.
That is a
Feel
very.
like-
I don't know if he should be allowed to read it, but we let him. So
I read it in the library when I was like 10, along with.
yeah.
I read. So I actually. That's how I picked up manga, was just reading the library. And that's how I read The Killing Joke and The Walking Dead. I read The Walking Dead like 7 years before it came out, so I knew everything in the first season that happened. Everyone sat down and was like, oh my gosh, this new show's based on a comic and it's amazing. I went, I think I read that a really long time ago, before I had a car. And that's how I like rationalize in my mind. I was like, I read that forever ago. It was actually not bad.
Right.
Oh no. I think she's frozen. Frozen in time.
Mom! Come back, Mom!
Whew.
All right, we'll do the halftime show right now.
We will do the I mean, it's not halftime show, but it's the 13-minute mark, so we can do that.
Right.
Let's see. Trying to figure out how to get her back on. So, Jin, when it comes to manga collecting, what is one major thing that, leads you to pick up a series? And this is going to be kind of a question. I know since you do broad series and broad strokes, it's going to be a little bit different than Mom, who has a minimalist collection, which the answer will probably be different. But what do you do to collect manga in this sense?
Oh man, I see if there's something that reaches out to me, like cover or the description, stuff like that, to see if it's something that I will enjoy, and then it kind of moves on the list from there. How enjoyable it is, how much I get into the story, stuff like that.
So, if you were to take a minimalist approach to this, how would you kind of go about it? Like, how would you choose series like to keep your collection as small as possible? Like, how would you pick and choose?
Like how would I traditionally unhaul?
How would you pick up series? Not necessarily unhaul, just
Oh,
pick up series.
ones that fit like my particular taste and whatnot. Like a lot of them are the fantasy based ones. So, I mean, like right now with all the new releases of the isekais, I was like, my bank account is going to be broken.
And was it
Um,
broken?
so I mean, it's kind of that, and then it's a kind of if there's 30 of them that come out, then it's kind of like, well, what's my top 10? And which ones sound more interesting? Um, is the cover art appealing to me as far as it goes? And just kind of the overall idea of it.
And how does the cover art look to you? Does it look okay? Does it look terrible? Does it look decentish?
I mean, most of the time it's picking like the best cover art and description at the same time. Um, kind of like one of these, like I've already seen it like a long time ago, so it's been on my list, but it was a Skeleton Knight in Another World.
Nice, nice.
So, if people don't know, so like a lot of my stuff, if you've played a game with me or anything else, my stuff has basically been I always play a character with like a skeleton head, or I play a character with like a jack o' lantern. It's kind of like a symbol for me. Um, so I really like going off of those, especially because my family does a lot of stuff symbol wise. I mean, everybody on my side of the family, or my mom's side of the family, we all basically have like ladybug tattoos for my grandma. So,
Yeah, that's
um,
adorable, by the way. You have a ladybug tattoo?
yeah, mine, I found out I was infected, or not infected. You see
Oh,
it.
I see it, yeah.
I'm allergic to red ink though, and it was like on a nerve cluster. So out of all my other tattoos, I mean, you know how big they are. They're about as big as my hand or whatever, which are big.
Your hands are fairly
And
large, yes.
none of them, even my collarbone, like none of them compared to the pain of that because I would get in the shower and water would hit it and it would wash the skin off. And I probably went through 6 layers of skin before it stopped. So every time I took a shower, it'd start bleeding.
Ew.
Yeah, I'm like, it's my smallest tattoo, and yet it hurt the worst.
I don't have any tattoos. I really wish I did. Um, but someday I might get some. We'll never know. We'll find out sometime. But for me, when it comes to collecting manga, if I was going to approach it from a minimalist style, it's one, have I read this story before? And if I have, does it have any important meaning to me as a person? And two, if I haven't read the series before, I kind of take a look at the artwork. I do a quick flip through of all the pages, like flip through it, smell the book, like take a deep breath in, and I say to myself, "This book does not smell right," and I drop it. Kind of weird. No one else sniffs books as much as I do.
Hold on, I got to do this now.
You've never sniffed your books?
I just did.
Okay, I'm back. I have no idea.
Mom, where did you go?
My computer just like
Dang it.
died. And I was like,
Lohely, you got me sniffing books now.
oh my
That was
gosh.
probably a weird thing to come back to. So we
Yeah.
actually asked the
It's
question
weird though. They smell different.
right before we got started. I asked the question, how do you select a new series to pick up? Jin, does the normal manga collector things. I apparently flip through them and smell them like they're roses.
Oh,
So as a minimalist collector, how do you
right.
collect your series? Like how do you start a new series?
Right. So actually, this is a good segue because right now I am no longer taking new ongoing series because this shelf, this dark shelf over here that I'm pointing at, those are all ongoing series that I have. Right now you can't really see everything, but So I'm no longer starting ongoing series, at least not in physical form. But I typically prefer to look for series that are already complete, which typically means I have to pick up like maybe older series, but they're new to me. And it does kind of put me behind behind everyone else, like that's talking about the newest thing. Because, in this, I guess, field, this corner of the internet, it's kind of good to be able to keep up with the new stuff. It's because people want to follow the hype. But because I try to avoid having too many ongoing series, it's better for me to make sure that I'm reading stuff that's already complete or close to being completed, so that way I don't run out of space. So yeah, I look for series that are completed, or even like I like anthologies or one shots. And I'm very selective about not so much genre or even demographic, but just what the story is about. Like, for example, I don't typically read high school romance. Like, I'm not into that these days. So that's something that if it's a high schooler and if it's a romance and there's a high schooler, I'm not reading
You're
it.
like, I am done. This is.
No. Been there, done that.
I'm 7 years out of high school now, and I'm like, somebody's like, hey, do you want to read Ouran High School Host Club? I'm like, no.
Right, which I do love that series, but that's like a nostalgic fave. I hadn't been out of high school for I started reading Ouran High School Host Club in 2008, and I graduated high school in 2004. So, like I hadn't been out of high school for too long when I started reading that.
That's not that long ago.
Some of those I have to lie to myself on. I'm like, it's almost like if all of us in the MangaTube community got sent into a high school setting and how we would react, that's kind of what I pictured as like, no, this person's really 20 something. They're not, they're just forced to be in high school.
They just happen to wear high school clothes to work. And they work at a job where they don't get paid. And everyone around them looks like they're 12. Yeah, totally normal. This is totally normal. They're college age. This is normal.
Right. Their parents are robots that look like their real parents,
Right. I mean, I don't judge people that like to read the high school stuff. It's just genuinely like not really what I'm into these days. And it also could be because I have 2 kids, but my oldest is 13. So he's like inching into that high school age. And I can tell you that teenagers are annoying. So because I live with one, why would I want to read about them? Because they're annoying.
I was one. I know how annoying I was, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm cool with this. I'm like, we're done.
Too.
We're fine. I'm like, we're done reading this. I don't need to read about my past self being awkward.
No, I was such a weird teenager, right. And I've just been there and done that. I definitely think that there are a lot of series that are great for teens, but they're just not for me. I'm an old lady.
Right.
So.
The one that's right behind your shoulder. I totally think that one's good for everybody. On the other side, your ongoing one.
Hitomi,
and Mikochi's.
This is I love this series so much.
Right?
That looks adorable.
It is adorable. It's a wholesome slice of life. Kind of, there's some foodie elements in there. Yeah, I just got mine, so I really need to catch up.
Somebody said, like, I've heard somebody talk about this series before because I just remember the artwork. Somebody said it's like drinking a hot cup of cocoa on a cold day.
Yes, that's perfect. It's so cozy and it's so good. And the art is absolutely beautiful. I haven't talked about it on my channel yet because it's still ongoing, and I tend to like to do reviews about completed series, which again puts me at a disadvantage, but that's kind of the thing that I like to do. I like to be able to give an overall like in depth, I guess, opinion without. I
Right?
didn't mean to do that.
You're a dancer.
Wow,
You got the hand moves. I'm Irish. I'm Irish, so my hands always do kind of my talking. I exaggerate with them, so I understand completely what you're going
Right.
through. I'm just like, finally, somebody's moving their hands as much as I do.
I
and,
am definitely a hand talker. I'm just, yeah.
Like,
That's why I
people are like, "Are
always
you
angle
speaking?"
my computer up so people can't see my hands.
I mean, like I said, I exaggerate with my hands. I roll my hands over a lot. For those of you listening to just the audio, I know this is confusing, but we're making some crazy hand motions over here, and I love it. I'm finally in my element with hand motion people.
Yay.
So Shay had another question for
Mm.
you. How do you handle collector's editions?
Okay, that's actually a good question because Clamp is getting a collector's edition of Magic Knight Rayearth Part 1, which I have already pre-ordered. I pre-ordered immediately. So I already own both Part 1 and Part 2 of Magic Knight Rayearth, and I have no problems with getting rid of those because I haven't had them for that long. I'm not super attached to those particular ones. So I don't have a problem with getting rid of my old ones and bringing in the new one. However, Fruits Basket is one that I have struggled with whether or not I want to get the collector's editions. I think they're a couple of years old, but they look so nice, and I've heard that the translation is so much better than the Tokyo Pop ones that I just can't. I can't get rid of. I cannot get rid of my original set. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't think I'm going to get the collector's edition because I don't want to have two sets. Personally, but I just I can't let the original one go. So I'm just gonna have to miss out, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, you could go about, you could get rid of a different series in your collection to get the collector's edition.
Es posible, but I just I can't think of any other series that I would be willing right now anyway to let go of to have doubles of one series. You know, like
Or you could get that one and send it, just get it and hold on to it for a week and then be like, I'm unhauling
right.
this to Jen Graves.
You know, actually, I'll just send it to you. Yeah, I just that original collection has so much, like probably out of all of the series that I own has the most sentimental value because it was the first one that I collected, and ooh, like I get like low key emotional thinking about getting rid of it. So I don't know. Ooh, Shay, that's a good question. More than likely though, like if I'm being really honest, I would probably go ahead and like I could see myself maybe taking like my original one and like keeping it in a closet and just to make room, like, which is not very minimalist at all. That is me being a hypocrite. But when it comes to that, sorry, my doorbell is ringing. I think my child and husband are home from their walk. Anyway, so
Like, you
they,
can just stay outside. You'll be fine.
yeah, like he has a key, he can get in.
You got 30 more minutes. You're good.
Another question that we just got in is, would you ever try to learn another language to get access to more series, i.e., French, Italian, Japanese?
Uh, not well. Okay, this is actually a good question because yo hablo español poquito. I speak a little
¿Tú
Spanish.
hablas
I
en un
went to
poquito de español?
poquito, poquito.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near as fluent as I used to be. It was actually my major in college. I was going to be a teacher, and then I'm clearly not. I decided not to. So my Spanish has gone down over the years, but so I do speak. I understand and read more than I speak anymore. Also, 한국어를 할 수 있어요. A little bit. I can speak a little Korean. I can read Korean. I can speak it a little bit. I can definitely read it. I don't understand everything. Which actually I have um, some Korean language manhwa that I bought when we went to Korea a few years ago. That I've not opened all of these because it's a lot. That's a lot to try to read. So I do have like a couple of languages that I could read other comics in, but not Japanese. I just don't see myself trying to learn Japanese anytime soon because that would be an undertaking. And there are people that try to say that it's not that difficult. Yes, it is. As someone who has like studied two other languages other than English, I can tell you for sure that Japanese is definitely more difficult than both Korean and Spanish.
Uh,
So,
I love Spanish. Like I work in the food industry.
ah,
So yes, in the kitchen, in a kitchen
mhm,
specific industry. So I do work
mhm.
with a lot of Hispanic speaking people, like Spanish
Yeah,
speaking
yeah,
people.
yeah,
I
yeah.
also happen to live in Little Mexico in Kansas City. Like
Oh,
within
okay.
within like a mile in any direction, there's like a
Mm.
total of like 20 or 30 actual taco shops, like actual
Ah,
taquerias.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Spanish for me is a I learned it a little bit in high school, but I learned it
Hmm.
more after I graduated, moved down to Kansas City. Um,
Right.
and honestly, like if I was going to be completely honest, if there was a series that I really really wanted in Spanish,
Mm,
I would probably buy it up because I know most of the stories memorized, but I'd be
mm.
able to do rough translations in my head anyway.
Right. I've definitely been like I on Twitter not too long ago, I had written in Spanish that hey, I'm looking for series in Espanol. Like, can you recommend any? And then I realized that not a lot of people that speak Spanish follow me because people don't really know that I speak Spanish. So that was kind of pointless. But I would definitely be interested in looking for a Spanish language translated manga because I'm pretty sure that they get some series that we might not have in English. So I'd be totally down.
I mean, we just need to start a Spanish club instead of making it for English. We just make
Yeah.
it for Spanish.
Bueno. Well,
Yes.
there's a series I want you to get then. It's only 3 volumes. It's
Mm.
called Juana, Juana,
Hmm.
and the Kingdom of the Dragonutes. And it's one
Oh.
of the series that I really talk about how the language barrier because they don't have
Mm.
translations in it. Like if
Oh.
you don't know it, like because I took Spanish in middle school, it was something we
Hmm.
had to do. So I get half of it. And it's one of those series I feel like going into it not knowing what she says, you
Mm.
only get the it's like a little dragon looking guy. You get his point of view because it's all in English and you
Hmm.
go into it not knowing any way of what she says. And then, I went into it knowing half of what she said. And
Mm.
I was like, I get kind of what she's trying to say here, what she's trying to do. And then I'm like, what if I knew the language like down packed and started
Hmm.
reading it
Mm.
and knowing everything that she said, like how much of the wall would it break down in that series to
Mm.
know?
You
So
should
I mean,
DM me on Instagram with the information for that because
okay,
I'm curious. Yeah,
I would.
that
well, I
sounds
gotta
cool.
find it. I'll take some pictures.
Yeah.
I'll read it. Like I said,
Yeah, yeah.
I
I mean, it's great. I love not having the translations, and I know that got a
Mm.
lot of people off of it because it's like there's nothing in here to tell me what she's saying, and I'm like, but look at facial reactions, take the minimal stuff that you do know about it, and throw it in there. And I mean, the story I feel like changes, not knowing anything, knowing a little bit, and knowing all of it.
hmm,
Yeah, that sounds
So,
really cool. I would totally read that.
I'm just kind of curious as to like what genre is it?
oh God, I don't know.
Because I'm kind of looking at it right now, but it's not giving me like it's a fantastical kingdom.
Go to
Um,
go to Right Stuff. They break it down for you already. You could see what it was because they'd have it broken
Mm.
down and say it's a shojo or shonen or whatever.
I'm
I'm too
looking.
scared to look myself because I don't want my computer to crash on me again.
I have it.
So,
I'm worried about blowing a
I
fuse
gotta look
right
it up.
now. If I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm
Go
running
look it up.
a brand new brand new window unit. It's the only reason I'm not dying sweating right now. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. It's from Seven Seas. It's manga. The genre is fantasy. The theme is adventure. So I'm gonna guess. Looking, I don't know. The eyes put me off a little bit because the eyes look more. I don't know. Like it could be. It's Seven Seas, so it could be anything. It could be shoujo. I don't know. I have no idea.
You could look into that. That sounds cute.
Jen, send me a text message with that. I'm expecting it now. I'm expecting it right now. Like a text message telling me the exact name. It's not on my phone yet, Jen.
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna do this other part. See.
Yeah. Like I said, I found it. It just wasn't telling me.
Okay.
2 interesting questions. One, we're gonna do by Dynamic Dylan since it does relate to language.
Hey, Dylan.
Have you ever read any wordless or nearly wordless manga?
Yes.
Ooh, that's a good question. I
Yes.
don't. I don't think I have.
One of my top 100 series is the title has words on it. Obviously, the copyright, everything has words on it. And in between the chapters, the person went in and did realistic drawings of the animals they used in it because they're kind of cartoony in the chapter. They went back and actually made it so it looks like you're looking at like a bird dictionary or something with the picture in it, and it tells you the names underneath them. But it's Gon, Gon. It's this little bitty dinosaur. The whole thing is word.
Who is the mangaka for the? That sounds familiar.
I'm like, it's on the other side of the room. Hold on, I do have a phone beside me, though.
Okay, I guess. I mean, I also have a. I guess. That title sounds familiar. I've not read it, and I don't. I'm trying to like think about other manga that I've gotten rid of over the years, and I don't think I've read anything that's like, nearly wordless or wordless. Like
Gon is made by Masashi Tanaka.
who have I heard talk about that? Maybe Manga
If you've seen Otaku Mike got it because I recommended it to him, and I was like, dude, best one you'll ever read. And he goes, "Are we really going to read it?" I said, "No, we're not. You're just gonna look at it."
I mean, I would totally be down.
Here's one of them that's.
Oh.
It looks so cute.
He's like, it's almost like reading a thing with a miniature Godzilla that goes around because he's like all powerful and everything. He's like, oh, you're going to come headbutt me? I'm going to headbutt you. And then, they do something, doesn't happen, and then he headbutts them, and it's like Team Rocket blasting off again, like they're all the way in the distance. You're like, this is great. Love it.
It just looks adorable.
Yeah.
Well, they have an anime that came out for it too, since we talked about Netflix before the show. On there, and the only thing Gon says basically is like a Pokemon. He goes, gone, 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 and everybody else, all the other animals talk. So it's a really every other character besides Gon actually leads the story in its direction, and it's both of them are great.
Okay. I have to look into that. Maybe my kid will like that show. My youngest. I don't know if my oldest.
I mean, my 1-year-old likes it. I feel like that was almost his first word.
Was gone.
He'd walk around and go, gone. And I'm like, are you saying it, or are you just trying to like say other words?
Are you about to headbutt me? Are you about to headbutt me? Because I'm terrified now.
I mean, it's great.
And then we have another question from Shay.
Okay.
So she's launching these questions like nobody's business.
I love it.
What is the biggest regret in your manga collection?
Oh, okay. So I guess either buying or getting rid of, either one.
Let's do both. Let's do both.
Okay. So, actually, my biggest regret as far as purchasing goes is actually very recent. It's one that I have not spoken about. So we were in, actually, it was the time when we were originally supposed to do this episode, but I was out of town. And while we were out of town, I went to Half Price Books just on a whim, and I broke all of my minimalism codes, and I went and spent like a few $100s at Half Price Books.
That's actually that's impressive because
Like-
usually were they $3.99 or $4.99, like 99 a book? Because that's a
Like-
lot of books.
They were roughly, some of them were $4 to $5. It was like $4 to $5. It was a lot. Like I came back to the hotel, and my oldest son was like, "Mom, Dad's gonna be mad at you." And I was like, "Yeah, we're just not gonna tell him. We're not gonna tell him." So the reason why that was a big regret is like I almost, like, a lot of the books that I ended up purchasing, I didn't like a lot of them because I just bought like random manga. Like it was, I don't know where my head was, but I went in and just saw all of these, like all of this manga that I'd never seen. Most of it was like older titles. And I would say about half of it I ended up not keeping because I didn't like them and I regretted buying them. And so it was like, I fully regret that. Now I did get some gems, but for the most part, I totally regretted that. And then as far as like regrets of like what I've given away, interestingly enough, I actually regret giving away. There are like two series that I regret. One of them is a series called SA. It's Special A, and it's a shoujo romantic comedy that is similar to Ouran High School Host Club in its like over the topness and making fun of that genre. And I wish I had kept it so that I could reread it now just to make sure that I really didn't like it anymore. I think I gave it away hastily. And then the other series is actually Vampire Night, which is a series that I was obsessed with for a long time. I loved the anime, loved the manga, but I read to the end and hated the end, hated some other elements about the series. There, not to give anything away, but there was some like incest, incesty stuff. And I was like, I hate this. But now I kind of wish I'd kept it just so that I could read it and like I could hate read it and talk crap about it on the internet. Like I wish that I could. I would have loved to do a video about it on the channel about how horrible it is, but now I can't because I'm not repurchasing that series. So regrets.
It's okay. We all have regrets. Some people bought Rurouni Kenshin completely on a whim and then sold it immediately after they read the first volume because they realized that all 27 volumes were. Yeah, that was a thing. That was super. They were having a half price sale, and they had the series like bundled up as one half it was one half the series, another half the series, and they were both like $25 a piece. And so I ended up buying all of those books for like $1.10 a piece instead of like $3.99. I was like, this is gonna be a great deal. I'm gonna love this series. And I read the first one. I was like, I've made a huge mistake. I should have bought something else.
Right.
Let's see if I can double my money. That was the only good gift you gave me, Rurouni Kenshin.
You never double your money.
No.
You never double your money when you buy manga. And then we have a few more questions. Again, I'm loving all of these questions. Let's see.
Lohali wants a question.
I want a question. Nah.
Yeah, Lohali wants a question, guys.
Everyone knows everything about me. One is, will you buy Volume 1 of Crocodile Baron, digital? and do a review on the series.
Crocodile Baron?
Yes, that's what
Like, is that
it's.
is that like Crocodile Dundee but in manga form?
That would be
Because I would
amazing.
Same
definitely.
thing.
So Crocodile Baron is from Kodansha Comics.
Mm.
Oh my gosh, it's a crocodile wearing a top hat.
Oh, absolutely. I will get that if I can get it digitally. Because by the way, that is a way that I maintain my minimalism is reading digital manga. But I will absolutely buy that first volume
Does it,
digitally and do
does
like
it
a
look
first
like the
impressions on my Instagram.
does it
So
look like the
just
alligator in Witchcraft Works?
just so you can understand this a little bit better, the description is a gourmet comedy centering on a gentleman crocodile and a foul-mouthed rabbit who are best friends. The two try various foods at restaurants and spend fun days together. While
Oh
the
my gosh,
crocodile,
that is
who is a novelist, is
sold.
normally well-mannered, sometimes he loses control and goes wild.
yep, buying it. Absolutely, 100%. Keep an eye out because I will, as soon as I'm done, I will buy it. And then tomorrow I'll film like a first impressions on my Instagram. So make sure you
When is
follow
it
me on
gonna come out
Instagram.
paperback?
And then the
Hey
other
guys,
question
hey guys,
was,
Kodansha, I need y'all to put this out in paperback, please.
It
Thanks.
sounds amazing.
Thanks.
it sounds like it's going to be
Right?
a wild ride. Like, wild ride. It's going to be insane.
It's like my dirty passion books, like food.
Is there any
Yes.
series that you would recommend to your kids?
Um, there are series that I've attempted to recommend to my kids. So, I mean, my kids are two very different ages. My oldest is 13. Excuse me. My youngest is 5. So, and I don't really have anything on my shelf that my 5-year-old would really like get anything out of, at least not yet. I'm working on that. But
I mean, you
I
can't read
actually
your
really wanted
5-year-old. You can't let your 5-year-old read Dead Man Wonderland. Wow.
right. I mean he can if he wants to, but he would not know what's going on. But speaking of Dead Man Wonderland, I actually tried to get my older son to read it, but he just had no interest, which I thought was so strange because it seems like it would be a series that he would like, but he's rebellious. He just doesn't want to do anything that I want him to do. But
Does does
Dead
he
Man
like
Wonderland
Marvel?
is one that I would. He's DC. He's
Well,
yeah.
there's one called Hero Man that actually is made
Mhm.
by Stan Lee that's really good. And a
Oh.
lot of people that read comics will actually go to that one and they'll
Mhm.
try Ultimo, but Ultimo is one of those time skip jump things and
Right.
It
it
is weird.
confuses me. So out of the two, Hero Man is the way to go, which is like
Yeah.
a toy that turns into a giant mech that helps a little boy.
Uh,
And I love the series. I mean, it's spectacular. The second character in
mhm.
it is actually a paraplegic character, and I was like,
Oh, that's so cool.
so it's really cool how he like they portrayed him like giving his all through it, and I almost feel like he does as much as the
Yeah.
main character. And I'm like, love it.
Yeah, that's super cool. I mean, I also considered My Hero Academia, which I'm not going to read it personally. I have no interest in that. See, I don't like superheroes, so I have no interest. But I thought that because my oldest is interested in like DC and like the superhero stuff, that maybe he might like MHA. Uh, I would be willing to put money into that if he would read it. Um, but as far as like, oh, actually, one that I think that he would enjoy is Dragon Half, if I could get him to read it. This is, I have to preface this by saying that my husband and I are not the strictest parents when it comes to what our children watch. Like, our oldest grew up watching Futurama with us. So, I mean, yeah, like we're pretty like chill and which I think is a big reason why our kids now are pretty chill and they know when it's appropriate to well, they never use words or like bad words around us because they know better. But anyway, they're pretty chill and mature for their ages. Mature, but I would encourage like a 13-year-old boy to read Dragon Half. There's like, it's only 3 omnibus volumes long, and I freaking love this so much. It's very reminiscent of like, I love JRPGs, and so there's this like JRPG Dungeons and Dragons kind of element to it. Very 90s, kind of etchy, like fan servicey, which I love. So I love this series. I would definitely recommend this to like teenage, preteen to teen boys.
I
Also
do.
girls.
I want to point out that the love
Yeah.
interest in this story is named Dick Saucer.
Yes.
I
Yes.
just
What?
the name of the love interest
Yeah.
in this series is Dick Saucer. I looked this up because I was like, Dragon Half. This looks like it could be pretty interesting.
It's so great.
And the story follows Mink, a half-human, half-dragon teenage girl on a quest for a potion which will turn her into a full human, so she can win the love of the legendary dragon slayer crooner, Dick Saucer. In the manga, in order to get the potion, she must slay as to death. As to death? I have no idea how to pronounce it.
I think it's as a death. I never knew how to pronounce
Is
it.
it
but
that,
something
or is
like
it supposed to be ass death?
With a
It
name
could
like
be.
Dick Saucer, honestly, I would not be surprised.
could
I feel like if I read this, that's what I wouldn't be able to get through it.
It's so funny. It's very ridiculous, and I could see some parents probably giving me the side eye, like, why would you let your child read it? Like, it's playful. It's playful fan service, like, and it's very clear. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's very clear that it's meant to be over the top, and it's not meant to be taken seriously. And I just love it. Like, the art is very like 90s.
That is
Oh,
so
yeah.
90s, it
It's
hurts.
so great. Like,
Like,
look at the color pages. Ah, this is Mink, by the way. She is so, I love her. Like, God, okay, I'm fangirling right now. I love this series so much. It's really funny. Oh, and then I guess another one I would probably recommend is Giant Spider and Me. This is adorable. It's a foodie manga. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know it was going to be a foodie manga, but it is. It even has recipes in here, and it's about a little girl that lives in like
I'm so upset
a
about this series.
post-apocalyptic place or time by herself for reasons, and she meets this mutated spider guy, and they become friends, and she makes other friends throughout the story. But it's so wholesome, so sweet. I think I've talked about it on my channel. It's so great. It's very wholesome. So if you want your kids to read something a little bit more wholesome than Dragon Half, I would definitely recommend this series. And it's not just, I don't know what the demographics of it are, like if it's shoujo or shonen or whatever, but I do think,
I think that one's considered shoujo.
is it, because to me it feels very demographic-less. Like, I think that people across all of those, any gender, any background could read this and enjoy it, because it's not a romance, so because I know shoujo does not equal romance, but it is not a romance. It's more of like a slice of life adventure coming of age story, maybe. It's precious. So yeah, I'm sure there's more, but
I was very upset when that one ended.
yeah, it's so short.
How many
I would have loved more.
how many volumes is it?
Just
3.
three.
That's
Yeah,
not bad.
just three.
Not
Yeah,
too bad.
it's only 3.
But when you get done, it leaves you in an area where you're like,
mm,
it's only been like 3 days in the book. Like, give me some more.
yeah, like I would have liked to have seen more from this series, but for what it is, it's super sweet, super worth looking into. Yeah.
There was one that I was thinking of, but I can't remember it now. Why can't I remember it? Ah.
Describe it.
No, it was because we said one specific thing. I was like, oh man, this would totally
Oh.
fit into this, and now I can't remember.
Is it food related?
Oh yes, it is. All right. So, have you ever heard of Yakitate Japan?
It's on the shelf.
No.
I haven't read it.
So the entire premise behind Yakitate Japan is making the absolute best bread in the world. I'm not sure if you would like it because it's a shonen gag comedy and where they keep making, like, they actually give you recipes for the bread and they describe how they made it. So it's pretty interesting, but the reactions just keep getting more and more and more and more
Like
and
over
more
the
exact.
top.
Like, one of the reactions is a guy legitimately dies. It's so good. They get sent to heaven. They're like, this
I
is.
would read that.
They're like, They try, like, the first reactions are like, oh man, I'm taken back to my childhood. I feel so good. And then the very final reaction is just so ludicrously over the top and ridiculous. I was like, I don't know what this author was smoking, but he might need to puff pass it over because that's ridiculous.
Right, I was like, I want it.
It's
yes.
I mean, Jin, how would you describe Yakitate Japan?
I haven't read it yet.
It's like it's like an acid trip
But
of bread.
I would probably, from what I know about it, I would say it's like the Great British Baking Show meets like a very watered down Food Wars.
Oh, I was gonna ask if it was similar to Food Wars because I used to collect that series and I liked
because it's not like, oh my god, my clothes burst off when I eat it, but it's kind of like some of the less revealy ones when it happens, like, you know.
Like, remember the beginning of Food Wars when you were like, when they made the food and you were like, man, that food sounds and like looks delicious, like it looks like something that I'd want to eat. It's those aspects of it, but it's also a gag comedy. It's like thrown in. So it's like, you know, you mix a little bit of this, you mix a little bit of, like, they have a superpower that's called solar hands, where your hands are just like 5 degrees warmer, so they're perfect for baking bread.
That actually, honestly, that does sound like something I would, because I love comedy, I love food, especially bread. So I would totally be down to read that. That's another one. Y'all have got to send me links later.
I feel like I have to ask you now all my food series if you own them.
I mean, Toriko.
Sweetness and Lightning.
Okay, so
Otherworldly Izakaya Nobu.
So sadly, I don't. Okay, I don't own Sweetness and Lightning only because for a long time I avoided it. I was waiting for it to be over because I was worried that there would be an age gap romance between the dad and the girl. So I was worried. I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but Shay actually reassured me because she's read the series. And so I do plan to get that series. That's one that I really want to read because I've heard that it's so good. And then Otherworldly Isekai, like
Oh no. Okay, I thought I froze again. Sorry.
Oh no, I froze.
Stumped.
I was like, oh no.
I don't really know enough about it, I guess, to pick it up yet. So I said isekai. It's not isekai. Why did I say that?
All manga's isekai.
It kind of is.
I don't know why I said that. But
It's like a dimension in between a storefront and the back of the store. It's its own little thing, and it's a Japanese isekai pub or like and it's connected into the front, which is actually medieval Germany.
Oh.
And it's one of my favorite ones right now because also in the back they give you the Japanese name for the food and they give you the rough German translation for like what it is in German.
That's super cool. Oh, that's super cool.
And it comes out fairly slowly, so every time I get it I'm like, can I recreate this recipe?
Right. So it's not complete yet.
No, it's ongoing, but I don't know how they're going
Mm,
to complete it. Um,
right.
but like I have the fourth book for it pre-ordered, but it comes
Hmm.
out so slow. Like you could catch up in it in a heartbeat. I mean, yeah.
Right. Okay, okay. I'll think about that one. But Sweetness and Lightning is definitely on my list. I guess, I mean, as far as foodie manga goes, I actually, most of Fumi Yoshinaga's work have something to do with food. Like, What Did You Eat Yesterday is
I got that
one of
one too.
my favorites. It's so cute. I'm still waiting on my volume. Not That's a whole other, anyway. Um, and then what, I'm trying to think of what other foodie manga that I have, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But yeah, a lot of the series that I have are foodie are mostly Fumi Yoshinaga titles.
So
I have the only other one I think I have is Oshinimbo.
I I bought the first volume of that thinking that it was just a one shot. And then I Googled it and I was like, heck no. So I'm not going to continue collecting that one
It's
because
seven,
there's.
and I hate what they did because it ruins everybody. They
Um,
took it. It used to be like Garfield and everything else in a newspaper
mm,
in Japan,
mhm,
and they actually took it and went in and said, okay, well, the first one is called, I think, just Japanese pub food, and they cut
yeah.
through all the newspaper, and if it's related to Japanese pub food, they put it in the first one. Because if you read the first one and the second one, you can see how they went from this is a young guy, and then you go into his and the girl's relationship, like towards
Mhm.
the end, and you're like, at one point, it's like, wait, they have a kid, but then in the next volume, there's not a kid. So they cut it and they put them
Okay.
in there. So every chapter is kind of its own standalone story until you rework it all to fit together.
Right. Yeah. Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's why reading it, I was like, okay, I'm reading this. Every chapter is a one shot.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
all right, we are actually coming up on our hour.
Mm-mm.
So before we go, is there, before we go, you say where everyone can find you. I ask my final questions, all that good stuff. Is there anything that
Yeah.
you want to add? Anything that you think we haven't discussed tonight?
Um, I guess because I did kind of get off the subject of minimalism.
That's
I would say that like one thing I do want to say is that minimalism is everyone can do it, but it is not for everyone. Because I think an important thing that a lot of people forget is that um, the choice to have less things and the choice to get rid of things is very much indicative of a person with privilege because a lot of times people like uh, I wasn't my financial situation is very different now than it was when I first started collecting manga. And there was a time when I wasn't going to get rid of any of my manga, even if I didn't like it, because I spent money on it, right? And I didn't want to waste it. But my financial situation is nice now, and it's very easy for me to say, oh, you know what? I didn't like this. I'm going to get rid of it. So I don't want anyone to feel like if I talk about minimalism, I don't want anyone to feel like bad or to look at their shelves and think, oh, I have too many things. I need to get rid of stuff because maybe you don't really need to. Maybe you're just not there because it is a mindset more so than like
Oh,
actually
so I want
getting
to throw
things,
this
getting rid of
question out
stuff.
there. Can you be
Yeah.
a minimalist and still have
Mm.
a lot of manga?
I think that I think that you can, but there again, like there is, it's more of a mindset. So like if you have a lot of manga, but you actually have, let's say, the space for that manga, or you're not just going out and buying manga willy-nilly, like you're intentional with it. And also if like how is the rest of your home? Because like I said earlier, like I'm not just minimalist with my manga shelves. Like my whole house is literally like we have 4 plates because there's 4 people in our house, 4 bowls, you know, like like we have like I'm very it's a little bit obsessive, but you know, we are very minimalist like throughout our entire lifestyle. So for me, like I have the room. Like if I wanted to collect more manga, I have the space, have, you know, the like financially I can because I'm not really spending a lot of money on other things. So yes, you can, but you're gonna have to make, you know, some allowances and things like in other aspects. And I think most people aren't really willing. A lot of people who collect manga also have a lot of other stuff, you know, and it's not. I don't. So,
And I mean, one good way to kind of look at it, and the way that
mhm.
I understand minimalism is like, if you think about the human body, we all consume different calories. We all need a different amount of food
Mm.
to live. So everyone at an intrinsic natural level needs something different to feel comfortable to
Yeah,
survive. So minimalism
yeah.
for you is different than minimalism for like
Hmm.
Jin. And it's different for me. All of us have a very
Absolutely.
different definition of what minimalism is. You know, it
Right.
comes down to obviously, you know, how privileged have you been in your life, your financial situation
Hmm.
right now, but mentally, how are you doing? Like, are you able to mentally
Hmm.
part with some things? Are
Right.
you
Hmm.
able to get joy from all 4,796
Right.
volumes? And if you are, then you are still living a minimalist lifestyle because they're
Right.
bringing you joy and they're bringing you happiness. You know, I always try to
Right.
think about it like if it's not bringing you anything extra, sure, get rid of it. But
Hmm.
we all have a little bit different definition of what it means.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Right.
That was well said. I fully agree with that. Also, I'm very I guess my husband calls me he told me the other day that I'm very utilitarian about certain things. So for me, like if something if it serves a purpose for me, then I allow it to stay in my space. And right now, like my manga, for example, it serves a purpose. I'm reading it, I'm enjoying it. But for me, like a lot of these volumes on the shelf, like honestly, when they stop serving their purpose for me, I will get rid of them, except for Fruit Basket and my entire Clamp and Fumi Yoshinaga collection. Those are staying forever. But like, I'm very utilitarian about certain things. So it's easy for me to let stuff go, but not everyone can, and you shouldn't feel bad for that, and you shouldn't look at someone else's collection and say, "Oh, well, what am I do? Like I should be doing this." No, you shouldn't, girl or boy or non-binary person. You don't need to do what I'm doing, you know, just because it looks, you know, all fancy and cool. Like do what is right for you and find your own minimalism, I guess.
Again, absolutely perfect.
Right.
So, we usually end the
I'm a
night on a question, but I think ending the
Hmm.
night on this statement that you just gave us is
Yay.
almost as good. But I do have to ask a question because
Okay.
you
hey.
mentioned something
I
that's
have
very
I
near.
have something to chime in first though.
Oh, Jin. Oh,
So
oh no.
Okay.
so how about that? So the funny thing about mine though is I almost
Mm.
use my manga as a calendar. So me and
Ah.
you actually started collecting uh what did you eat yesterday almost exactly at the same time.
Mm. Oh,
So
I
like
didn't know that.
there's different things. Like I haven't even read it and there's
Yeah.
different things that happen in life. I'm like, this is probably one of those things I was supposed to get it for. You know, it's like a connection to people. And
Right.
you know, I haven't read Yakisoba Japan yet, but I'm sure something will
Right.
pop up with Level Lee. Maybe I'll start it when he gets married. You know, there'll be
Right.
a tie-in to everything, and it's just a big like calendar for me.
Yeah. I can definitely see that. I think a lot of people do that. They have like you know, they have specific memories tied to when they purchased, you know, their manga or whatever else they're collecting. And I think that's cool. Like, I'm not gonna tell you you shouldn't.
Um, yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Run all your shelves into the ground.
Uh, I'd just get bigger, better shelves. What are you
Yeah, see,
talking
there you go. Then you're fine. You're fine. So my ending question for this evening, for everyone to get to know you a little bit better, if you
Sure.
could be one food item, if one food item was like your spirit animal, what would it be? Why?
Tteokbokki. Tteokbokki is a Korean dish, and it is my favorite Korean food ever in life. I don't know. Okay, I guess I should explain what tteokbokki is. Tteokbokki is rice cakes, but not like the American rice cakes. It's like they look almost like. Actually, I'll Google it because I know that not everyone is like a.
Right?
I'm
Because
not a
I don't even know how to
Korean, but
spell that.
oh well, I don't
So
know how to spell it in English. I can spell it in actual Korean,
is it
but
spelled with a D or a T? Because there's one that says DDUKBOKKI and the other one is TTEOK.
either one is fine. Either one is fine because the actual Korean um, alphabet is kind of a mixture of, and that particular character is a mixture of D and T. Yeah, it's weird. So tteokbokki is like made up. They look like thick pastas, but they're made out of rice flour. So they're really like almost like mochi. Like kind of they have that texture of like biting into a mochi pasta, and it's so delicious, and it has like this really spicy sauce that they put on it, and they have like you can get like a boiled egg that goes in it, and sometimes there's fish cake in it, which is like a weird thing made out of fish. I'm so bad at describing food, but it's spicy and gelatinous in a way. Glutinous, that's the word I'm looking for. Very glutinous, very I don't know if you've ever had mochi, it has that same
Are the
texture
are
when
the
you.
noodles kind of see through?
No, that's japchae. That's japchae. That's japchae.
We got it one time, and they just call them fiber
mhm.
noodles, where you can see it.
Yeah, the
I'm like,
glass like or fiber noodles, glass noodles.
yeah.
Yeah, that's japchae. That's also a really good one. But tteokbokki is like it's so hard. If you look at the pictures on Google, it looks gross because it's like really thick white, um, sort of pasta-like cylinders, and it's drowning in the super red sauce. It's so spicy. It's very unassuming. It's a mixture of like this bland rice thing and spicy sauce. And I feel like that is me as a person because on the one hand, I am very boring and bland, but just just a little sauce added on there, a little spice, and oh, so yummy, so good. So yeah, I'd be tteokbokki.
What about you, Jin? What is your food spirit animal?
Oh, I mean, I thought you were gonna let me guess yours.
No, I'm. No one will ever
We
guess
already
mine.
we already know yours is a taco.
No, taco. How dare you insult me?
What are you
A
talking about?
taco?
Yes.
No,
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
Wait. No, that's Sydney's. Yours would be a burrito.
Thank you very much. How dare you say taco? It is the inferior carrier. You bite into a taco, a deep fried taco, it all
Wait,
spills out. I'm a burrito.
wait, you don't like tacos?
Okay, I like tacos, but I'm sorry if you're putting a taco and a burrito next to each other. It's burrito every day.
What kind of tacos are you eating? Are you eating tacos lenguas? Because
I'm sorry.
that
Burritos lenguas is my favorite burrito. Don't even get me started on.
I don't.
I do.
I don't really like burritos.
I do all
What?
meats in my burritos. Like straight up, I am a burrito fiend. If you name it, I have tried. I don't, except for I do not like avocado. Avocado is my anti-spirit animal.
I don't
Here's
know if
why
I can do buche.
I'm about to ruin your life. It's because of a
It's
texture
all
thing.
different.
It's a texture thing. It's not necessarily a
Oh,
taste
okay.
thing. Like for me, it has a very grainy texture. Like I can't do pears because they have that
Okay.
grainy texture. So for me, like
Yeah.
an apple, like if an apple, like I'm not gonna lie, there's very few things that I am super duper ultra snooty about. If I take a bite out of an apple and like
And it
it's
has
not
that.
crisp, I will like straight up look at it and I will Sydney. If Sydney's not home, I will throw it away. If she's home, I'm
Honestly,
forced to
same.
eat it. She's glaring at me right now while she's playing Crash Bandicoot.
Sydney, eat the rest of this apple for me.
But yeah,
I
no,
don't.
I am.
I don't know if I could have buche in a burrito though.
No.
Yeah, ooh, oh, you know about buche? Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm impressed. Y'all are impressing me.
we have. So I don't know if you know. Quick thing, guys. So
Mm.
my family does kettle corn. Out of the big cast iron pot and everything. So like that's something I had to learn growing up. Well, one of the places that we worked at actually had a family that made
Mm,
regular tacos, and
mm,
so like asada, buche,
mhm.
lingua,
Tripa. Tripa.
Tripa?
yeah, el
Yeah.
pastor,
Tripa.
yeah, el pastor,
Mm,
carnita. I mean, like all of it.
mm,
So I got
I'm
the whole
getting
rundown.
hungry. What time is it? Is my local taco truck is closed?
Like,
I'm sad.
so for me, I get invited to a lot of the functions that I get invited to now are like
Mm,
Mexican family small child birthday parties, which are
mhm.
amazing because they have like mom. I call her madre because she's my work mom.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
she does. She
yeah.
watches out, and then I have my hermanas because they're her daughters. And anyway, she made this amazing thing that I can never remember the name of, but it's all of the meats mixed in one in like one of the red sauces.
Is it
It's
molcajete?
no, it's not moltajete. It was something B. It was I think it was a B. It was so good. But they also introduced me to Valentina on cheese
Mm.
balls.
Uh,
Like
Oh
Valentina is like
man,
my jam. Like I love that. And they were like, this is how I live my life.
that sounds
I'm
like
so
boudin
hungry.
balls. Oh man, we're getting too far into this, guys.
We're
I'm
getting
starting
I
to
know
salivate.
this is a Mexican food podcast.
Um,
all right. Anyway,
I feel like all foods are my spirit animal. Just
Yes.
saying,
I mean you're
but
6'10", so obviously all
I
foods are your spirit animal
I
because
would
you
have
have
to
to
say
eat
right
everything.
now, ramen is my big one. Like we actually had
Mm,
an authentic ramen place. Kind of, well, they're more of an isekai,
mm,
but they actually serve ramen. Like I've had takoyaki, yakisoba, like everything there that they have, and the ramen is just. I mean, I think it's one of the best because you get all the different things, and it's kind
mhm,
of a. What do you feel like? Do you feel like mixing everything together and making it almost like a weird spaghetti, or do you feel like eating everything individually, or I love the layout of ramen, and I think that
mm.
they just went through the transition of fall because the stuff they put in it is a little different now than what they
Mhm.
had, a couple months ago.
Yeah, because I mean, ramen changes with the season. A lot of
Mhm.
artisanal ramen places are going to want the absolute best. Like even their noodles are going to be a different noodle depending on what
Mhm.
grain is in season two. That's if
Right.
you're going to the high class ones that are charging you $14, $15 a bowl, and they better be getting me some high quality ingredients because that is a
Oh yeah.
lot for a ramen. But
Yeah.
it's so tasty.
We didn't pay that when we went to Japan last year. We ate a lot of ramen, and it's interesting to see the differences in price. When you're actually in Japan and getting ramen compared to when you get ramen in the States, and how much they charge in the States for ramen. I mean, I guess it's the trade off is like going to Japan in general is kind of expensive. So, but if you ever get to go to Japan, make sure you eat all the ramen you can.
I mean, ramen is. Anyway, we got to end the
I know.
conversation here.
Yeah.
I've got to be
I'm
up at
coming
5 o'clock in
back
the
like I
morning.
can't have ramen anymore.
Yeah, you're like I'm expensive out. So, Mama loves manga.
Yes.
Where can
Yes.
people find your content? What do you have coming up?
Uh, so you can find me on YouTube, Mama Loves Manga. Um, I don't really post on a schedule, but I'm always reading and always filming. I mostly do reviews there. You can also find me at Mama Loves Manga on Instagram, and I utilize IGTV there a lot, and I do like first impressions. So I will be doing first impressions of that what is it, crocodile, whatever it is. Y'all are gonna send
Crocodile
me a
Baron.
link.
I sent you the name of it on
Yes,
Twitter.
yes. I'm gonna do a first impressions of that for sure. And then also on Twitter at Mama Loves Manga. I don't really have like I don't know what I do there. I just talk. So yeah, those are the places. I'm just there.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm pumped. This is
Yeah.
gonna be awesome. Jin, what do you got coming up?
Oh man.
Because everyone knows where to find you. If they don't know where to find you after
I
almost
have, I
7
have.
months.
It's a weird idea, but I filmed it right before we started, so it should be uploaded a little after we get done. But I'm actually going to try like an adventure RPG for all you guys to actually like get in and play because
Oh,
not
which
a lot
one?
of it's going to be based off of
Never.
Pokemon, but
Oh, okay.
not a lot of people know like that's what I kind of did before in my free time as a college student, trying to get that as a business going and everything. And so I was like, well, it's sitting on the shelf. Let me put this out for people to play because I think it will be fun. You just watch the video and go through it and just have like a six-sided dice. I mean, it's not like D&D with 20 different kinds of dice that you need. So it's very easy.
Cool.
I mean, I'm pretty stoked. Sounds pretty awesome.
Right.
I'm
And
excited.
finally, people, we can have that fight with Alonzi.
Wait, what?
Did you
Is there
never?
a fight happening?
Oh
Their
yeah.
Pokemon fight.
I'm Gary and he's Ash because he's a loser. I mean, obviously, I'm wearing blue, so that makes me blue. I mean, think about this. If you've ever watched the Pokemon anime, Gary always
Mm.
did so much more than Ash did. Gary accomplished so much more, and Gary was much more loved by all of his Pokemon. Ash's Pokemon liked Gary more. So, Gary is number one. And then if we were in the manga version, I'm obviously red. Because I'm just silent and cool. And
I'm Psyduck. Like that's me. I'm Psyduck.
hey,
So.
Psyduck is when I was a small child, like Psyduck is my spirit animal. All that he wants to do is nap and have headaches. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Maybe it makes some things float every now and then. I'm cool with that.
Every now and then.
But anyway, for me, guys, obviously, this Friday is not going to have a video, partially because my father is going to be in town, but also because we have a special surprise manga club with Nova and Neon. Neon and Nova, plus, that's a plus, not an
Yay.
and. Going to be on here Saturday morning, starting at 9 o'clock. I'm pumped. You're pumped. Everybody's pumped. Apparently in Britain, though, that means something different. I apologize if I'm cussing in a foreign regular language, guys. My bad. On
I'm not.
Monday.
Just go to Twitter. You'll find out.
It's weird.
Okay.
It's strange. And Monday I'm excited to utilize my new lens, because I'm gonna be again this close to the camera. Only it's gonna look crystal clear. I'm not sure that's even a word. So stay tuned for all of that. Mama Loves Manga, thank you so much for being on here. We appreciate it so
Thank you
much.
for having me.
Jin, see you Saturday, man.
Right.
All right, and for everyone new and old, welcome and welcome back. I will see you next video. Next video-ish, somewhere around there. Yeah, Saturday.